Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhuji.
Okay. Namaste and Dandavat Pranam to everyone. Today we are here reading Srimad Bhagavatam on the auspicious occasion of Sri Nandotsav, the celebration of Bhagavan Sri Krishna's birth in this world, his pastimes in this world, and also the appearance day or the birthday of the pioneer of Krishna consciousness in the Western world, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvadikacharya Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So we're reading Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, chapter 13, text 26. Tam uchur vishmitas tatra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tam uchur vishmitas tatra Yajamanam atharvija Avimsi huyamanani Nate grinanti devata. The priests engaged in the sacrifice then informed King Anga, O king, we are properly offering the clarified butter in the sacrifice, but despite all our efforts, the demigods do not accept it. Text 27. Rajanhavim syadustani Shradhaya saditani te Shandham syatha yamani Yojitani dritavratai. O king, we know that the paraphernalia to perform the sacrifice is well collected by you with great faith and care, and is not polluted. Our chanting of the Vedic hymns is also not deficient in any way. For all the brahmanas and priests present here are expert and are executing the performances properly. Text, purport. It is the practice of the brahmanas conversant with the science to pronounce a Vedic mantra in the right accent. The combination of the mantra and Sanskrit words must be chanted with the right pronunciation. Otherwise, it will not be successful. In this age, the brahmanas are neither well versed in the Sanskrit language nor very pure in practical life. But by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can attain the highest benefit of sacrificial performances. Even if the Hare Krishna mantra is not chanted properly, it still has so much potency that the chanter gains the effect. Text 28. Navidha me hadevanam ilhanam bhayam anvapi yanha grinhanti bhagam svam yedeva karma sakshina. Dear king, we do not find any reason that the demigods should feel insulted or neglected in any way. But still the demigods, who are witnesses for the sacrifice, do not accept their shares. We do not know why this is so. Purport. It is indicated herein that if there is negligence on the part of the priest, the demigods do not accept their share in sacrifices. Similarly, in devotional service, there are offenses known as seva apara. Those who are engaged in worshipping the deity, Radha and Krishna, in the temple should avoid such offenses in service. The offenses in service are described in the Nectar of Devotion. If we simply make a show of offering services to the deity but do not care for the seva aparad, certainly the Radha Krishna deity will not accept offerings from such non-devotees. Devotees engaged in temple worship should therefore not manufacture their own methods, but should strictly follow the regulative principles of cleanliness, and then offerings will be accepted. Dandavat Pranam Uma Devi.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Text 29. Maitreya Uvacha Anghodvijavacha Shrutva Yajamana Sudhormana tad prashtum vyasrajadvacham sadasyam stad anujaya. Maitreya explained that King Anga, after hearing the statements of the priests, was greatly aggrieved. At that time, he took permission from the priests to break his silence and inquired from all the priests who were present in the sacrificial arena. Text 30. Nagacchantyahuta deva nagrinhanti grahaniha sadashaspatayo bruta kim avadyam maya kritam. King Anga addressed the priestly order. My dear priests, kindly tell me what the offense I have committed. Although invited, the demigods are neither taking part in the sacrifice nor accepting their shares. 31. Sadashaspataya uchu naradeveha bhavato nagham tavan manakstitam asatyekam prakattanam astyekam praktanam astyekam praktanam agam yad ehe dritvam apraja. The head priest said, O king, in this life we do not find any sinful activity even within your mind, so you are not in the least offensive. But we can see that in your previous life you were performing sinful activities, due to which, in spite of your having all qualifications, you have no son. Purport. The purpose of marrying is to beget a son, because a son is necessary to deliver his father and forefathers from any hellish condition of life in which they may be. Chanakya Pandita therefore says, Putrahinam graham sunyam. Without a son, married life is simply abominable. King Anga was a very pious king in this life, but because of the previous sinful activity, he could not get a son. It is concluded, therefore, that if a person does not get a son, it is due to his past sinful activities. Text 32. Tata sadhaya bhadram te atmanam suprajam nripa ishtaste putra kamasya putram dasyati yagyabuk. O king, we wish all good fortune for you. You have no son, but if you pray at once to the Supreme Lord and ask for a son, and if you execute the sacrifice for that purpose, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will fulfill your desire. Text 33. Tatasva bhagadhyayani grahisyanti divakasha yadhyagya purusha sakshad apatyaya Hare vrita. When Hare, the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Whenever a sacrifice is performed, it is meant for satisfying the Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifices, and when Lord Vishnu agrees to come to a sacrificial arena, all the demigods naturally follow their master, and their shares are offered in such sacrifices. The conclusion is that the sacrifices performed are meant for Lord Vishnu, not for the demigods. 34. Tamstan kaman harir dadyad yan yan kamaya tejana arhadito yatai vaisa tatapum samfalodaya. The performer of the sacrifices, under karma conductivities, achieves the fulfillment of the desire for which he worships the Lord. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he awards benedictions to the worshipper according to his desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all living entities conditioned within this material world full freedom to act in their own way. But to his devotees, he says that instead of working in that way, it is better to surrender unto him, for he will take charge of the devotee. That is the difference between a devotee and a fruitive actor. The fruitive actor enjoys only the fruits of his own activities, but a devotee, being under the guidance of the Supreme Lord, simply advances in devotional service to achieve the ultimate goal of life, to go back home, back to Godhead. The significant word in this verse is kaman, which means sense gratificatory desires. A devotee is devoid of all kaman. He is anya bilasita sunya. A devotee is always devoid of all desires for sense gratification. His only aim is to satisfy or gratify the senses of the Lord. That is the difference between a karmi and a devotee. Text 35. Iti vyabhasita vipras tasyaragya prajataye purodasam niravapan sipi vishtaya vishnave. Thus, for the sake of his son, for King Anga, they decided to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu, who is situated in the hearts of all living entities. Purport. According to the sacrificial rituals, animals are sometimes sacrificed in the yajna arena. Such animals are sacrificed not to kill them, but to give them new life. Such action was an experiment to observe whether the Vedic mantras were being properly pronounced. Sometimes small animals are killed in a medical laboratory to investigate therapeutic effects. In a medical clinic, the animals are not revived, but in the yajna arena, when animals were sacrificed, they were again given life by the potency of the Vedic mantras. The word Shipi Vishtaya appears in this verse. Shipi means the flames of sacrifice. In the sacrificial fire, if the oblations are offered into the flames, then Lord Vishnu is situated there in the form of the flames. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is known as Sipi Vishta. Text 36. Tasmat Purusha Utasto Himhamalyam Malambara Hiranmayena Patrena Siddham Adhaya Payasam. As soon as the oblation was offered in the fire, a person appeared from the fire altar wearing a golden garland and a white dress. He was carrying a golden pot filled with rice boiled in milk. Text 37. Savipra nu mato raja grihit vanjalin hodanam abhagraya mudhayukta pradat patnya udharadi. The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priests, he took the preparation in his joined palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his wife. Purport. The word udharadi is significant in this connection. The wife of the king, Sunita, was not fit to accept this benediction. Yet the king was so liberal that without hesitation he offered it to his wife, the boiled rice in milk, prasad, received from the yajna purusha. Of course, everything is designed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As will be explained in later verses, this incident was not very favorable for the king. Since the king was very liberal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to increase his detachment from this material world, willed that a cruel son be born of the queen, so that the king would have to leave home. As stated above, Lord Vishnu fulfills the desire of the karmis as they desire, but the Lord fulfills the desire of a devotee in a different way, so that the devotee may gradually come to him. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Tadhami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. The Lord gives the devotee the opportunity to make progress further and further, so that he may come back home, back to Godhead. Text 38. Satat Pum Shavanam Rajni Prasyavai Patyor Adhare Garbham Kala Upavrite Kumharam Sushubhe Praja. Although the queen had no son, after eating that food which had the power to produce a male child, she became pregnant by her husband, and in due course of time she gave birth to a son. Purport. Among the 10 kinds of purificatory processes, one is Pum Shavanam, in which the wife is offered some prasad, or remnants of foodstuffs offered to Lord Vishnu, so that after sexual intercourse with her husband, she may conceive a child. Text 39. Sabhala eva purusho matamaham anuvrata adharmam sodbhavam rityam Tenha bhavad adharmika. That boy was born partially in the dynasty of irreligion. His grandfather was death personified, and the boy grew up as his follower. He became a greatly irreligious person. Purport. The child's mother, Sunita, was the daughter of death personified. Generally, the daughter receives the qualifications of her father, and the son acquires those of the mother. So, according to the axiomatic truth that things equal to the same thing are equal to one another, so according to the axiomatic truth that things equal to the same thing are equal to one another, the child born of King Anga became the follower of his maternal grandfather. According to a Smriti Shastra, a child generally follows the principles of his maternal uncle's house. Naranam matula karma means that a child generally follows the qualities of his maternal family. If the maternal family is very corrupt or sinful, that child, even though born of a good father, becomes a victim of the maternal family. According to Vedic civilization, therefore, before the marriage takes place, an account is taken of both the boys' and girls' families. If according to the astrological calculation the combination is perfect, then marriage takes place. Sometimes, however, there is a mistake and family life becomes frustrated. It appears that King Anga did not get a very good wife in Sunita, because she was a daughter of death personified. Sometimes the Lord arranges an unfortunate wife for his devotee so that gradually, due to family circumstances, the devotee becomes detached from his wife and home and makes progress in devotional life. It appears that by the arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, King Anga, although a pious devotee, got an unfortunate wife like Sunita and later on a bad child like Vina. But the result was that he got a complete freedom from entanglement of family life and left home to go back to Godhead. And thus ends our reading for today. We'll continue from text 40 on Friday. Were there any comments or questions from the assembled devotees? Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa, Sripad Bhakti Madhava Puri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, Srila Acharya Dev, Srila Shanta Maharaj Ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai Upanuga Guru Varga Ki Jai. All
Jai.
glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the worldwide devotees. Sama Bhaktivedanta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai, Nishingapali Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ju Ki Jai.
Jai.
Ganga Mai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Gira Govardhan Gupta Govardhan Dham Ki Jai, Sham Kund Radha Kund Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Vrinda Devi Ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Scientific Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai, Princeton Bhaktivedanta Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Institute Ki Jai, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai,
Jai.
Jai Shri Nandotsav Ki Jai, Jai Avirbhav Mahamahotsav, Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Nitai Gaura Premanandi Hari
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 Bol.
Bol. Jai Shrimati Uma Devi Dasi Ki Jai, Jai
Jai.
Sripad Ananda Krishna Prabhu Ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
दंडवत प्रणाम श्री कृष्ण केशव प्रभु की जय
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
Hari Bol.